Well, back now to our top story, and the economic impacts of the war in the Middle East are already being felt here in Australia, with queues at the Bowser growing amid climbing petrol prices.
The cost of your weekly shop is predicted to be next, but just how bad will our hip pockets hit be, and what can we do now to minimise the impact? Well, consumer expert Graham Hughes joins us live in Brisbane. Good morning to you. Lots of different numbers floating around with petrol prices. Explain to us, what is causing the fluctuation right now, and will we continue to see it rise?
Well, there's a lot going on, isn't there? We see about 20% of the global oil and gas supplies travel through the Strait of Hormuz. And so essentially what's happening there is the transportation networks are under a lot of pressure. So petrol prices have gone up a little bit earlier. It usually takes around 14 days for the oil prices to go up and to see a change at the Bowser. So they've gone a little bit earlier on this occasion. And it's really quite interesting because what we find is the knock-on effect for the grocery segment. In the grocery aisles, we generally have about 5 or 10% of what you pay on shelf actually comes out of the cost of the fuel itself, so how much it costs to get it there. So
Graham, you're just saying that some of those prices have gone up a little bit early. Is that an example then that you're seeing of perhaps profiteering here?
Look, it's definitely opportunistic pricing by the retailers, and ACCC are taking a good look at it because it's gone up far too quickly. It's taken about 4 days when it should take at least 14 days for the price rise to occur.
Yeah, so it definitely wasn't what they were buying it for. And if we look at some of those graphics we've put together there, a 30% increase would take prices from around $2 to up around $2.70. So that is huge. With this Reserve Bank meeting next month, how are they likely to respond? What will this do to inflation?
Well, we know that inflation's been quite sticky at home. A lot of that's been homegrown, and now we're going to have obviously an oil fire to put out, so to speak. So the Reserve Bank are looking at the details here and keeping a very watchful eye. This is something that is going to affect all of us, but the market is predicting possibly one rate increase later this year.
Yeah, we know people are already feeling the pain there, Graham. Hey, what about grocery store prices? Walk us through those.
Yeah, so as I said, roughly 5 to 10% of what we're paying on the shelf comes back to the transportation costs. So things that require heavy refrigeration, quick transport costs are going to be felt the first. So we're thinking about things here like berries and green leafy items, also seafood. So trawlers take up an awful lot of diesel to actually do the fishing. And so they're the first things we're going to see in store, and then obviously the effects a little bit more broad after that point.
What do you suggest people do, Graham? I mean, we have seen some petrol stations run out of fuel already. People are fearful. They're not quite sure what to do. Should they, gather together a bit of a stockpile of groceries, or is that taking things too far?
Look, at this stage, it's taking things a little bit too far. I definitely think that consumers should be vigilant. They should use technology because the price point of petrol is roughly a 40 cents difference between the top of the market and the bottom of the market. So do your research before buying. In the grocery aisle, when fresh produce gets a little bit high, you can obviously go to the frozen section because the cost of transportation is often a little bit lower for those items because of the way that they package them. So there's a few things that consumers can do, on top of course, shopping the specials.
Yeah, well, we know that pain is it's hurting so many families out there, Graham. We thank you for your insights this morning.